Private member's statements. I call the member for Balmain.
Mr Temporary Speaker, I rise to address the issue of planning, an issue of great and lasting importance to my electorate and to many communities across New South Wales. The government has released its Green Paper, proposing a range of changes to our state's planning system. The review is a welcome opportunity to address the hopelessly compromised planning system under New South Wales Labor. However, I am very concerned that much of the Green Paper's proposals dramatically shift the power of the planning process in favour of developers. The changes, in my view, pose a significant threat to communities and to the environment. Because, Mr Temporary Speaker, at the heart of planning should be a strategic approach and a commitment to ESD, ecologically sustainable development. I believe we should be planning for our generation and for the many generations to come, not just for the developers who stand to make a quick profit. The claim focus on strategic planning in this paper is welcomed, but the Green Paper sets out the mechanisms to undermine and circumvent this strategic planning outcome, including the ability for developers to submit non-compliant developments, minimum control so-called enterprise zones, the ability to contravene local environment plans with a strategic compliance certificate, as well as expanded the real appeal rights for developers, not communities, and developer-initiated rezoning. Any pretense at a genuine strategic planning approach is undermined fatally by these exceptions. The major concerns about the proposals in the paper outlined that I would like to outline include: 1, the removal of community consultation and local decision-making, and the lack of democratic oversight in the planning decision, in clear contravention to the government's promises to return planning back to communities. 2nd, the significant weakening of planning controls. 3rdly, the imposition of costs for developments on existing residents rather than the developers who are set to make a profit from the proposal. And finally, the empowerment of developers at the expense of local residents. Planning for our growing communities doesn't mean we need to sacrifice the basic principle of ecologically sustainable development. I'm a strong supporter of the provision of housing and affordable housing. During my time at Leichhardt Council, I was proud to oversee a number of successful developments, and note Leichhardt Council is exceeding the new housing target set by the state government. Council has been able to do this while consulting with the community and working collaboratively with developers. A sustainable and effective planning system can create local jobs, protect the environment and respect the fundamental right of people to participate in decisions which affect them. The government's Green Paper fails to include the community in the assessment process. The proposed changes would remove the right of residents to have a say on most developments in their neighbourhood. The changes proposed to include the community in the abstract planning stage, the quote strategic planning phase, and that is simply not good enough, as we know it's difficult to engage the community until there is a clear division of the development that's being proposed. The most significant developments in local areas would also be decided by state-dominated joint planning panels rather than by local, accountable, elected representatives. This would remove an important oversight in the planning process and an important accountability mechanism. The government also proposes to introduce enterprise zones with very few planning controls, where local councils and residents will have almost no say on the size, nature or type of the development to be built. One of the most significant changes has been the proposal to move away from measurable development controls, such as height restrictions, limits on the number of stories, building bulk controls, and will instead be using the generalised merit-based controls, which experience tells us undermine strategic planning approaches and will be open to widespread abuse by powerful developers. If successful, the changes would fail to return planning powers to the community and will retain state-dominated JRPPs and expanding the role of the state-appointed State Planning Assessment Commission. Developers would be able to appeal unfavourable joint zoning decisions by a local council to a state-dominated JRPP. However, local residents will have no right of appeal. Finally, the proposed changes would reduce the amount that the developers have to pay for new infrastructure and require the rest of the community to meet these costs through compulsory levies on existing homeowners. Councils will be prohibited from acquiring developer payments for the cost of green open space, for example, in developments. That will have a real impact on the kinds of neighbourhoods we have, the types of communities we create when it comes to parks and green space. New South Wales, Mr Temporary Speaker, needs a genuinely independent State Planning Commission, which is resourced to undertake its own assessment of developments and is made up of members with secure tenure. These proposed changes, as outlined in the Green Paper, seem to me to be the result of a very effective developer lobbying in lobbying the government, but I will stand with my community to participate in this process, Mr Temporary Speaker, to ensure that at the heart of any planning for this state is an ecologically sustainable development approach, and also an approach which puts at the front and centre of the debate a genuine strategic planning approach, which searches for the solutions to the community when it comes to the environment, to local business, to transport and also to housing, which is much needed in our community. Thank you.
Parliamentary Secretary.
Yes, Mr Speaker. I'd like to commend the member for Balmain for his advocacy for good planning in his community of Balmain. However, I have to say that some of the comments made in relation to the Green Paper, the conclusions drawn, I don't believe can be truly drawn from what is in the Green Paper at this stage. Of course, we agree that the concept of ecologically sustainable development must be at the cornerstone of any modern planning system, that the need for development in favour of the people and the community of New South Wales is absolutely paramount. But of course we need to ensure that the manner of that development preserves the ecological processes upon which we all depend. That is the point of the Green Paper. That is the point of providing a new planning system for New South Wales that puts people at the centre of the planning decisions that will affect their communities and their neighbourhoods.
We're proceeding with proper member statements.
I seek leave,
Is leave